In this video I'm going to be going over the loot system and pickups. So with the loot system, loot spawns when you kill an enemy. So in this case I've increased the damage of the weapon to one hit kill these enemies. So there's a percent chance, if you can see on the right, of the loot drop percentage, the min-max, and there's a chance to get a super drop. These percentages are currently at 100 to demonstrate what it's like to get a super drop, but all of these can be independently controlled per enemy based on how big it is, difficulty to defeat it, and also just pure chance. So shooting the enemy that will drop everything, it will randomly throw them out at random angles, which is perfectly fine. So now we have a choice to pick up a ray gun, another ray gun, pick up all the ammo, we throw and do as we please. So now the health pickups, as I've got full health, I can't pick them up, which is perfectly fine, this is expected. So now I'm going to purposely damage the player. That's just some temporary code that drops the player's health down to 1. And as I walk in, it will heal the player ever so slightly. I have to run to get this one. Once the player is above 25% health, the low health icon on the top left disappears. And you'd carry on killing people, getting more health. So the final values of the amount that are dropped and also the amount the health packs heal you are not finalized. This is all dependent as well on how much enemies damage you, which unfortunately is not in the game yet. So looking into the code, so this is just the temporary code that damages the player down to 1 health. So the enemy has a loot drop attached to it, and when the player dies, not the player, the enemy dies, we drop the loot, where we want to give the position where the enemy died in, and also some other variables used for calculating how high the loot spawns from when the player is killed, because you don't want them to spawn directly on the ground. You want them to spawn pretty high up, so then they can have the chance to be pushed away, then fall down to the ground. And this just finds the percentages, loops through, gets a random number between the min and max amount of drops. And also there is the super drop percentage. So if it hits the loot drop percentage, so if the enemy has 50% chance of dropping loot, then it has a chance to hit this percentage. So this is normally set at 0.5. So this will be triggered only if this one check here passes first. So the super drop is the same as the normal drop, but just in bigger quantities. Setting up the different game objects and assets and pickups to spawn in for the loot is done in a very convenient manner. So at the start of the game, we set up a specific folder used for drops. So in this case it will be guns and health pack, and we find and we load these game objects in with this line here. The only stipulation being that it has to be in a folder called resources in the assets. So same with sprites, loot and effects. So the sprites, they are loaded in. So this is used from when the multi-kill UI comes into play, but also when you change gun, the bullet in the bottom right represents what type of gun you have, as well as the text above it. that's it for all this video. Thanks.